All right, so first of all, I'd like to thank everybody for coming. Our
What a great
goal,
turnout. We're really excited. Thank you.
and
And
it shows your interest in wanting to learn more about teaching, because we all know, I mean, doing martial arts or doing anything is one thing, but then having to teach it is another thing. So it's another skill set. We have some professional teachers on. I do not even compare myself to those people. Uh, But we're lucky to have those teachers as martial artists teaching our students. So
absolutely. And it is a course. I see some people are all set up with tables and things to write on or type on. That's wonderful. We are recording it so we can send it out to people after, but we suggest that you take some notes, write down your questions. So, I mean, teaching can be really fun, but it can also be really challenging. And it is the role of the instructor to keep the classes fun and challenging. So the instructor has to keep being a student, is sort of the point, right? And as Sensei Mike said about a skill set, so teaching is a skill. So you can learn this skill. Some people are naturally good teachers or leaders, but people who haven't done that before, you can learn it. But just like any skill, you have to continue to practice and you have to continue to refine, right? And you'll make mistakes. We all do, but you want to learn from those mistakes and keep moving forward. So there's no like one way to teach. You have to be fluid with your approach because even if you're comfortable with one student, that student is changing as they grow in martial arts and as they age. So you have to change with them how you're teaching. All right.
yeah, sometimes. And we're lucky in that like our philosophy in EMAC and OKDR is to always keep training. Like our chief instructors have never stopped training. If if you have a chief instructor that stops training, then eventually the student is gonna catch up to them, right? Our group, our groups, our organizations, we're constantly training and seeking new knowledge and getting better at our old stuff. So the students, they don't need to know that, but they're in good hands because of our attitude towards training. You know, if the instructor stops training, then eventually the student's going to stop learning, right? They'll have learned everything and they won't have anything else. So in our groups, we're always training, seeking new knowledge. We have teachers, our teachers have teachers, so that's a first of all, right off the bat, we're lucky in that sense.
Yes. So we've been asked quite a bit over the last year and a half about teaching. So our purpose today is to help prepare you to teach effectively and confidently. So we want to give everyone the skills and knowledge and the proper mindset to support students' learning. So we want to share our knowledge about teaching and basic principles, but through martial arts. So what works for us and through martial arts. So with that in mind, we have sort of our goal is like three parts.
Mm-hmm. Want me to read those?
Sure.
So our goals today, and you guys are fantastic instructors already. And we just want to make you guys better. And as I said, teaching is a skill set. So we can always improve. And one of our martial art concepts is Shoshin, our beginner's mind. So even in this course, have a beginner's mind, empty your cup. We have some ideas. Maybe you already know about them. Hopefully, maybe they're new, maybe they work for you, maybe they don't. But our goals today are to develop our black belts and our instructors, assistant instructors to be better instructors in order to have better students by building teaching skills such as class planning, class management, and instructional methods. So some different teaching techniques. Goal number 2 is to give confidence to our newer instructors by giving them some tools to use. We want to help build your skill and be better leaders, better, more effective leaders. And then the third goal is we want to give you guys some practical examples, introduce different ideas to challenge the experienced instructor. We want to connect the theory with the practice, and we'll give time in the course to practice each of the concepts we're going to discuss today, and then discuss them after. So first of all, why be an instructor or why teach? And we've had students, and I'm sure some of the other instructors have had students where they don't want to teach. And it's hard. Everybody knows about public speaking. It's hard to get up in front of a group of people and teach. Okay, but why be a teacher? Why be an instructor? Well, teaching or giving back is an honor and a privilege. The student or parents of students is granting you a special place in their lives. Some of these relationships will last over a lifetime. So, first of all, if your sensei lets you teach, understand it's an honor. Because not everybody is allowed to teach. Okay, and then by being that instructor or assistant instructor, and the students that come to the dojo, they're trusting you in the lives as part of the life of their child. So that's also a big honor. It's a very rewarding opportunity to help and develop students in the martial art journey, watching them grow and develop and learn. And the more experienced instructors, see that. When you've been teaching someone for, well, even if you've been teaching someone for a few months, you can see the development. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Like you did that. Also, by giving you the opportunity to teach, you're learning at a higher level. So the expression "they who teach learns," right? Or
Learns the most.
Learns at a higher level. So everybody knows when you start instructing and you have to explain something, your brain has to know that technique even better. And then when the students have questions, your brain has to work. That brings your learning to a higher level. This is an invaluable source of knowledge. You don't really get this any other way. So you begin to understand techniques and concepts at a much higher level. We used to have a poster in the dojo, and it said, "Teaching is learning at a higher level." That kind of sums it up. Being a teacher, you're helping to build other teachers and encourage the preservation of the art. Very important.
Right, if you're only a student and you're only doing it for yourself and you're never passing it along, the art dies, right? So if you are willing to teach and to give back, you're really helping to preserve our martial arts.
A couple other reasons why it's an honor and a privilege to be an instructor and a teacher. As a teacher, you grow as a person and martial artist. You're learning patience, empathy, and improving communication and leadership skills, as well as learning more about the art. You are more passionate. If you are passionate about martial arts, teaching is the best way to pass on your love and inspire others to realize their potential. And basically, last but not least, you're leaving a legacy. Right? Long after the lesson is forgotten, students will remember how you made them feel. And we're going to talk about that later. But this is such an important concept to keep in mind. Okay?
So you can probably all think back to a teacher at school, elementary, high school, university, college, whatever. And you probably remember, oh, I really liked this teacher. And can you figure out why? Can you remember one amazing thing they taught you? It's probably more a feeling. That teacher made you feel good. You liked that teacher. You enjoyed the subject. On the flip side, I'm sure we can all remember a teacher that we hated. And again, you might not even remember exactly why, but it's because you remember how that teacher made you feel. All right. So when you are teaching, it is really important to be positive, caring, compassionate to these students that you are teaching, because that's how you want them to feel. You want them to feel special, valued, learning all the time.
Which boils down to you want them to feel good when they come to the dojo. When they come to your dojo, they feel great. They're enthusiastic. Uh, they know when they come to the dojo, they're gonna feel positive. They're gonna have fun. They're gonna learn something. So that's ultimately what we want to teach, especially the children. We want to teach them to feel good about coming to the dojo, as opposed to teaching them, super rupe or something like that. All right, so to help us better understand that, we want to talk about student goals versus instructor goals. So it's very simple.
Because those are two different things, right? A student.
Students' goals and instructor, or say adult black belt goals, are different. Neither are correct. It's
They're
just
just
the
different.
way it is. Yeah. So if you think about the student's goals when they first join the dojo, maybe a first year, is like rank. Rank is number one. They want to get their black belt. That's why they join. Skill maybe is number two, and knowledge is number three. Whereas a black belt, their goals is they're flipped, I would hope. And that knowledge is first, skill would be second, and then rank would be third. So a student's goals is rank, skill, knowledge, and a black belt or someone getting close to black belt, the goals have flipped. Now they realize knowledge is more important, skill, and then rank is somewhere after those.
So this is very evident, right? A lot of white belts, beginners, kids, adults, they will ask you, when is my grading for my yellow belt? When is my grading for my stripe? What do I need to know? I want to get this stripe. Whereas often when we approach brown belts and we say, here's your grading date for black belt, they will say, oh, I don't think I know enough.
I'm not ready.
I'm not ready. I need to practice this more, right? So those goals have flipped. So it's important just to understand.
And that's how we know you're ready for your black belt. So don't question your instructor. If they say you're ready, you're ready.
But again, it's neither of those are incorrect. It's okay for a new person to be focused on rank. That's fine.
Yeah.
All right. And it's okay
It's normal
for a black belt to be, focused not on their rank, but on acquiring knowledge. Okay. So both are
knowledge and
correct.
skill.
All right. So the first topic that we want to speak on today is structuring a class. So there's all kinds of ways that you can structure a class, different approaches. But here's an approach that we do and what works for us. So as an instructor, you want to have a class plan. Okay, and a basic class plan has 4 key parts. Okay, I'll list them and then we'll talk about each one. So the first part is actually before class. Part 1 is before class. Part 2 is the warm-up. Part 3 is the lesson. And part 4 is the finish. Okay, so we're going to talk about each one of those. Okay, so it's before, warm up, lesson, and finish. All right, so before class, you want to greet all of the students by name if you can. And you want to encourage personal practice or stretching. Think of a kid's class. You don't want them running around, fooling around. No, you want them practicing and you want them stretching. And we would encourage peer helpers for lower belts. So that's when you get a green belt or an orange belt, maybe, and you say, hey, can you show this new white belt some stretching?
Here comes
Oh,
the
can you show this new white belt around the dojo and give them a little tour? Okay, so that's before class.
And
Beginners especially, they don't know what to do before class. And you will see maybe they're standing there, deer in the headlights,
they're nervous,
not sure what to do.
right? They're nervous. They're in a new, strange place. All these strangers around them. We want to make them feel comfortable.
And it's not always new people. Sometimes it's a yellow belt, but there's no other yellow belts in class. All the other students happen to be blue belts, and the blue belts are, practicing together, talking together, right? So this yellow belt feels left out. So as an instructor before class, you need to see these things, identify that, and just say, oh, hey, Senpai Kathy, can you go talk to Lennon over here and make sure that he, whatever it is. Okay, so this is the before class, and that's important, and that sets the tone, and that goes back to showing that you're caring, right, about each student. You're interested in their development, and it starts right away before class.
And also for safety. You get 20 kids running around, someone's going to get hurt at some point, right? So
Probably one of the instructors.
encourage hatha practice or stretching. Okay, good.
Okay, all right, the warm up. Okay, that's part 2.
Well, there's Jean-Marc.
Yeah, very good. I gotta put it in room 4. So the warm up, and this is important. So the warm up, we all know, should prepare the body for the lesson. Okay, so it's important that you think about those words, prepare the body for
Bonjour,
the lesson.
Jean-Marc.
And we're gonna talk about that a little bit later. Okay, but you're pas moi. Okay, so we'll talk about the lesson a little bit later. Okay, so you want to prepare the body for the lesson. Your warm-up should be fun and engaging, but always keep in mind the 3 components: safety, fun, and learning. So whatever you're doing has to be safe, it should be fun, and then learning is the 3rd most important. Okay, safety, fun, and learning. Okay, so that's not just the warm up, but that's where it starts. Okay, all right, part number 3.
And also fun. Fun can be, the kid might not think it's fun, but if you're having fun and you got a smile on your face, that's gonna be contagious, and the kids will, start to have more fun. They're gonna have fun whether they like it or not, because you're having fun. So, yeah, no, a smile goes a long way, right? And you're having a good class when everybody's smiling.
All right, so part 3 then is the lesson. All right, and with the lesson, you want to keep in mind the theme of what you're teaching. So at our dojo, we have a theme of the month. So the lesson should be following in that theme. Then within the lesson, you have to have a variety of ways to present your lesson. All right, so if you're teaching this theme for a month, you can't do it the same way 20 times,
every class.
right? So you need to have different ideas on how you're going to present this theme. Okay?
We're gonna talk about that later, but
Yes.
this is something we do at East Wind, is that every month we have a theme. So January and September are back to basic months, right? January after coming back after the holidays, and then September coming back after the summer. Okay, so those are two.
So we're teaching basics, but we can't teach it the same way. We can't teach the same basic lesson, 10 times, 12 times, whatever. All right. So you need to think of what you want to cover and have different ways of presenting that. Now, you always want to be positive and engaging and think of things like
smile.
some classes will be large. So what works for a large class? Some classes are small. So you do different things that you can do in a large class. Will you have senpai instructors or helpers? All right. And using them for more personal instruction versus maybe you're teaching a large group by yourself. You have to have ways of doing that as well. Partner drills. All right. So there's all these different things that you need to think of when you have your lesson. Okay. And then the fourth part of your basic class plan is the finish. And this is just as important as the lesson and the warm up and before class. All right. So for our dojo at the end of class, it's really important. You should be featuring achievements. Okay. So gradings. Is there a draw? Some special prize, take a picture. All right. These are important little things because you don't know how you are touching the lives of these students. Somebody might be having a horrible day, but they've come to the dojo anyways, and they happen to get a stripe on their belt, or their name was happened to be pulled for a draw, or something special was happening. They were recognized for something. Well, you should recognize that. And that might be the best thing that's happened to that person that day or that week or that month. Okay. And you don't know. We don't know what's going on in everybody's life. So it is our job, our purpose to make sure that we are celebrating the small things. Okay. Doing your announcements at your dojo because it should not just be what's happening with, these 10 people at that time. We're all part of a larger community. Okay. Oh, this person is having a tournament. Oh, this person is hosting a grading. Oh, we have an opportunity to join this seminar here. Oh, there is going to be a special class this week in our dojo, right? So we want to make sure that we are doing those announcements. And that helps to connect all of your classes. Like if you have kids classes, adult classes, black belt classes, Kobudo classes, Shaolin Kung Fu classes, Jujitsu classes, sparring classes. That's a way when you do those common announcements to bring the dojo together. Hey, we're having a dojo get together at my house this weekend. All right. And everybody's invited, and people then are able to meet with different parts of the dojo, right? And all feel connected.
Right. Or you're having a big soji get together. We're all getting together at dojo. We're gonna clean the dojo, spring cleaning, something like that.
Yes.
But people also like to know that they're part of a bigger organization. So by doing announcements and stuff like that, oh, this person in Quebec is having a tournament. This we're doing a seminar here. Oh, right. So people like to feel that they're part of a bigger group, and that makes them feel good to be part of your dojo because your dojo is part of a bigger group.
And then also at the end of our classes, we say goodbye to each student. And the way we do it at our dojo is we dismiss the lines a few at a time. and they come up and the students bow, they shake hands, and they say thank you to sensei, and then to sensei, and then to senpai, and all down the line. And as much as possible, you want to use that student's name. So sometimes we have a large class, right? We could have 40 children on the floor. Hopefully, I have said hello to that student.
That's one.
At the beginning of class. I say, hello, Sarah, it's so good to see you today. All right. And then
everybody loves to hear their name. This is why we do it. Everybody loves to hear their name.
So then at the end of class, I should say, oh, Sarah, it was so great working with you today. High five. Okay.
That's two.
So that's two. Now your goal is you want to use the student's name 3 times in the class. So sometime during the warm-up or the lesson, you need to
try to say their name again.
Not try, you need to say their name again.
Right.
All right.
Say their name again.
However, the reason why we do this at the end of class is that at least that gives us an opportunity for one moment of personal connection. Maybe it's a busy class. Maybe, for example, I'm speaking with a parent that needs special attention for whatever's going on. Sensei Mike, maybe he's in the office writing a grading certificate, preparing that. But at the end of class, I can say, I'm so glad that you were here today, Max. It was great to see you. Okay, so at least we've had that one moment of personal connection. All right, so those are the 4. That's the basic way that we structure a class. And again, that's not the only way to do that. This is something that works for us, and these 4 key elements: before, warm up, lesson, and the finish. Okay, now, all this being said, you have to be fluid because your plan can change depending on who shows up in class. So I might think, okay, I'm going to work on this today, but then somebody comes in and says, oh, Sensei, I'm going to the tournament this weekend. Can we practice this? Well, the answer is yes, of course. That's an important thing. So that might be the complete opposite of what I was going to do. So then I need to be fluid and change that. Okay, other factors are new students show up. The amount of senpai instructors that you have can influence what you're doing. Oh, I want to make sure that every single person practices the kata at their belt level, but then there's 40 children and there's only 2 instructors. Well, guess what? That's not going to happen. So we need to then be fluid. Okay? So all of these different things can influence your plan. You should have a plan, but then it has to be fluid.
And back in the day, and for some very important classes, we will write out a class plan. And we used to do that back in the day when we first started the dojo.
Yes.
But so I don't do that anymore, but always in my head I'm thinking, okay, the theme of the month is kicking. All right, last class we did these kicks. Okay, so this class we're going to do these kicks. We did this drill, we'll do this drill next. So I have a plan in the back of my head, but then
something changes,
yeah.
Then we change the plan.
Then you change.
Okay.
We all know, like, if 50 white belts show up, then you got to change your plan. I had this black belt class in mind. 20 white belts show up, I got to change my plan.
Oh, I guess we're not doing Shisochin. We're gonna work.
Shisochin.
We're gonna work front stance, right, with white belts. Okay, so have your plan, but don't be stressed out if you need to change your plan.
Right.
And the more experienced you are, the easier that is. Okay, it's a skill. It just takes practice. So Sensei Mike said we used to write out our class plans all the time, all the time, all the time. Now we don't need to so much. If we have a special class or a course, we write out a plan, okay, to help keep us on track.
Yeah. Yeah, I had this day I wanted to work on this kata. I don't know, it was a brown belt kata or something, but then no brown belts showed up. So, okay, that's out the window. You got to change.
Yes.
Right?
Okay, so we're going to put you all into breakout rooms. East Wind, it looks like there is a lot of people in the dojo. You will be in your own breakout room, but what we would like you to do is split into two or three groups,
Yeah.
okay, to practice. Everybody else,
Groups of 5 or 6 or 7.
whatever works. Everybody else will we're just going to put you in some breakout rooms. Now, we want you, yeah, please add him to room number 4.
Okay.
So we want you to choose a class and come up with a plan. Okay, so the class could be a children's class, an adult class, a black belt class. Maybe you have something specific at your dojo. You have a blue and green class for teenagers. So whatever it is, choose a class. All right, we'll leave that up to you guys. Eastwind, try to, divide up. You could be a Kobudo section, whatever you like. And I want you to talk about what does this look like before class? What kinds of warm-ups are you doing? Give an example of your lesson that you're going to teach, and how are you ending class? What does that look like? Okay, so we want you guys, everyone, to come up with like a mini class plan and do this in your groups. Okay, then I want you to think about what would you do differently for that class if it's children versus adults versus black belts. So think about, okay, I'm doing this for kids. In an adult class, I would do this, but then here I'm going to do this. So just think of how that is going to work. Then we'll come back together and we would like to have a little discussion and see what each of the breakout rooms came up with, and if anybody has any questions about structuring a class. All right, so before we open up the rooms, is there any questions? Sensei Mike? No? No questions? Okay, so I'm going to open up the breakout rooms. I think we'll aim for about 10 minutes or so. Maybe we'll try to pop into a room and you can say, whoa, we need way more room, or hey, we're done. Let's get back. Okay, good luck, everybody.
Uh,
Hey, excellent. Welcome back, everybody. Okay, so now we want to hear how you did. We talked about um, right, coming up with your class plan. What does it look like in each of the four areas? And then, what would you do differently, than in different classes? So why don't we start with
keep it to like 30 seconds or less.
I thought it was
Okay.
30 minutes or less.
Oh, well,
Let's start with room 4. So that was with Jean-Marc, Luc, Elise, Pierre, Marcel, Sarah, and Joey.
OK. Est-ce que vous voulez que je présente? Ça va? Good. Okay. So it'll only take 30 seconds because we only got through the first two points before class and the warm up. But we talked about adults and older teens because the class plan would be very, very different between adults and kids. Sorry, we decided to talk about a Kobudo class as
Great.
opposed to karate. So the biggest discussion we had was on before class and how we use that time before class. And everybody seemed to be in agreement. We were kind of observing or interacting with the students, talking to them, and watching what they're choosing to do. So at our school, they just have some free warm-up time before class. And what the students choose to work on themselves is maybe sort of reflective of what they desire to work on or what they feel they need to work on, or sometimes
right.
even if they always go to the bow and they never go to anything else, then maybe they're, maybe not feeling as comfortable with those other weapons. So we kind of use that maybe not to gauge the gauge what we're going to do for that class, but to gauge what we're going to do for future classes. Sydney also mentioned seeing how they do sort of on their own, right? It's one thing to observe a student as they are following along with the group, but how they actually go through that complex or that pattern on their own would be a sort of different reflection. So we use that before class time to sort of observe what they're doing there. We
I think
talked
the key
briefly about
there is observing. Like you're not just, you're observing. They're working on their own, but you're still supervising. You're still watching.
yeah,
Perfect.
and from the student's perspective, they're doing self-practice, but I'm not just sending them off to go practice on your own and I'm doing something else.
Right.
We're watching, observing, so we're sort of planning based on what they're doing, even if they don't realize it. And then as far as lesson plan, we were just talking about in Kobudo not trying to do too many things. We do one, two weapons per class, and then depending on how that goes, sometimes it's only one, sometimes it's two. And the warm up is generally, which ones we're going to do. A lot of upper body, a little bit less lower body, depending on what's going on. But if we're going to do bow and tonfa, then we'll warm up with one of those or the other, and then jump into that and switch. I mentioned with sometimes we'll do the yobi undo to warm up because that's sort of, well, that's what it's for, and it's a natural progression into the hojo.
Right. Yeah. That's always I always have a class plan. I want to do this and I only get through this. But that's better than having this and then you have
Needing to do.
20 minutes left still and you're not sure what to do. So,
Yes. And I really liked your
right.
point about like watching the students and, if they always go to the bow, maybe that is highlighting that they're not as comfortable with sai or tonfa. So that's something that you should work on. So you're already preparing a future class plan. Maybe not for the one that's just about to happen, but for the future. So I really like that particular point. Okay, we're gonna go to room. Okay.
Yeah, and all that is showing me that you care about your students. You're taking an interest, right? So you care.
Yes.
That's People don't care what you know until they know that you care. Write that down. You guys have probably heard that before, right? People don't care what you know until they know that you care.
It's true. It's very, very true.
All right, next group.
Hopefully, the other people in the room that don't speak English as well, Sensei Joey, you can relay some of this later
Or
or when.
Sensei Sylvan,
Yeah.
Sensei Joey.
All right, so we're gonna go to room 3 with Uchi Martial Arts and Kathy, Fred, and Kevin. Let's have a little discussion at what you guys sort of worked on.
I got nominated.
All right.
All right.
Okay, so we had an interesting discussion. So our focus was a kids class, probably karate. And so from a pre-class, we said, welcome the kids and welcome also the parents. Like talk to the parents, talk to the kids, say hi, stuff like that. In case you want to find out how the kids are doing, if there's something they need to work on stuff.
Very good. I like
Talk to the kids and say, hey, how you doing? How's your day going? Let's see if there's anything going on. And one of the things that Alex and they do is they nominate a leader in the class, not necessarily based on rank, but they pick somebody to say, making sure everybody gets ready. Like, okay, go up to the group of people. Hey, you ready for the warm up? Why don't you work on your kata or something like that? So Alex, correct me if I got that right or what, but I think he has one person for every class, doesn't matter rank. They walk around and say, okay, today you're the leader. Like Sensei Mike, you're the leader today. Make sure all the kids are ready and they're doing something before the class starts.
Good. I like that.
As part of the warm up, making it fun and exciting, doing partner drills, making sure we're moving and stretching. Some of the things is make a challenge for the students. like, and sometimes let them figure out how to do it. And one of the examples was, you give them a bowl between two people and then they pass it back and forth. But then you put a person in between them and let them figure out how to get the bow to the other side kind of thing. That was kind of
Oh,
different types of challenges.
that's a good challenge. Yeah. Or like the balance challenge, when you're doing your warm up. Okay,
Well, the
standing on
shikadat,
the
yeah.
little things like that. Like the
Make sure
bow.
not to be serious, make it fun, and try to incorporate some of your lesson into the warm up so that they can
Yes.
relate it. So like,
We're going to talk about that later, but exactly.
a lot of times when we do the wrist stuff, right? And then during the class, we say, well, this is why we did that exercise, because now we're doing a lot of wrist stuff.
Exactly.
The lesson plan, because it's fundamentals or basics month, we decided to work on that. One of the things that some of the groups do is if you have a plan on a drill that you're doing, so let's say send an UK, or this may not be a good example, but show the full end-to-end drill first so that they have it in their mind what your goal is, and then break it up in sections, okay? So that especially for adults and older people, then they can know what the purpose is of what we're doing, right? And sometimes if you show step one and then step two and then step three, they don't necessarily know what to expect next. But if you show them the full thing at first and then break it down, then they kind of have an idea of where they want to go.
That's right. That's have the end in mind. At the beginning, have the end in mind. Stephen Covey.
Yeah, I remember that. I think that was it.
Good. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Sounds wonderful. Thank you, Senpai Kathy. Good job, group. All right, how about Eastwind group? Anybody, maybe one person could speak there.
Okay, who's starting? Thanks, man.
Senseis.
James. All right, James.
So we had an interesting discussion, especially in the first 2 points, where we also spent a lot of time discussing these things, just on some of the variations between either adult class, children's class, or community center. And so with the greetings, we're observing that some of the, it's usually a little bit more casual with the adults versus the children, where it's a bit more structured, as you were saying earlier, so that they're not just running around.
Yes, good.
And using that as an opportunity when prepping for the class, for example, checking the tools for doing Kobudo, just to make sure everything's in working order. With the names, we were also thinking of using the sign-in sheet. If you don't know somebody's name, we do have those at the front door, so it is possible to learn their names as they come in. For the warm-up, we're also thinking it's based on the space, either at the community center or in the dojo, on the layout, whether it's in line, if you're doing it in a circle. When you're in line, obviously you can see the entire group versus when you're in circle.
Is Eastwind as a group or like 3 different?
Oh, we had 3 different group senseis.
Yeah,
Okay.
we had 3 groups.
Okay.
And we were also observing for the warm up that sometimes it's worth waiting for the bow in, just if people are late. I mean, for the community centers, sometimes there's people rolling in a little later on, so it's not to do the bow in too early. With regards to the class, I mean, we were talking about doing a kicking class, for example, but I think the concepts apply to everything else, where you would instruct the technique and then have a practical application, such as the kicking pads, where people could take turns in an active setting in practicing those techniques. And you can even switch it around to do from the other side, just to make sure everybody has a turn, and there can be some individual review while that's going on.
Right. As long as that's supervised, like you don't want kids holding the shields for other kids because maybe they don't know how to hold it correctly, right? Which is another aspect. Teach the kids how to hold stuff. But yeah, as long as it's supervised, it's
I
good.
say, yeah, in our
That's what you
context, I
meant.
think. I'm sorry, Sensei.
I'm sure that's what you meant.
Hi, in the groups in the group discussion, it was mentioned the black belts holding the pads. I did not mention that, but that was what was brought up. And then I think with regards to finishing up the class, we hadn't gone too much into it, but I think one of the parts I know I do like a lot is the when important elements or corrections are repeated, and so there's people can have it top of mind as they finish the class.
Good. Let's move on.
Thank you, Sensei.
Feedback on the next topic. I mean,
Oh, I
save
see.
everybody.
Oh, I'll give everybody a turn.
Yeah.
Why?
All right. Well, just because of time. Okay, so is it okay if we move on? I think, and we'll go on to the next topic. And the people that didn't give feedback this time, we're going to get your feedback on the next topic.
Or we'll try to go a little faster. We honestly, we could spend the entire 3 hours just talking about this on structuring a class.
Right.
Okay, and all the different little variables that go into that. Okay.
Yeah, a couple of things were brought up, which we're going to talk about later on, is that the warm up should correspond to the lesson. So if you're doing lots of,
So let's talk about that later.
yeah, well, anyway, we'll talk about it later. I guess is what I'm being told.
Yes.
All right, topic 2. I'm going to move on to topic 2, how to use your voice and effectively, but more so body language, everything. So we chose this teaching technique because it's one of the most effective tools that we use as an instructor. People learn in various different ways, and that's the next course. So there's 4 learning styles. We're going to talk about that.
And combining those learning styles is the most effective. But for today, we wanted to concentrate just on using your voice for this section.
Okay, so exactly. So first point is project your voice. Don't yell, but especially in a large class, you need to project your voice to the back of the class. And that's something you need to practice.
And also, as the class fills up, your volume needs to increase as well. But again, it's not about yelling. It's just about projecting your voice.
Projecting.
Okay?
It's like you're throwing your voice to the back of the class.
People who do theater or singers, right? They really know how to do that, right? And again, it's practice. It's a skill. A lot of good speakers know how to do this, projecting their voice, throwing their voice to the back of the room.
Okay, and that's a skill. So it's something we're going to practice. Use different tones. Emphasize the importance of what you are trying to convey. I'll let him in. There's someone. Mudith is here. For Sri Lankan dojo.
So we think everybody knows what we mean when we say different tones, right? So we're talking about this topic, but then we change our voice and we use a different tone because this is really something we want to highlight. And then you might go back to your other tone. All right, so the tone, or could be the inflection in your voice, can be very, very powerful in a class. All right, changing. Also, if you teach with the same tone the whole time, the class then tends to go to sleep because you haven't varied your voice and everything sounds exactly the same. All right, and we don't want to be boring. You want to change your voice.
Yeah.
Okay?
Also, vary your voice. So from speaking loudly, projecting your voice to going softly. And then that makes people get closer, right? They want to listen more. And
this is really special. Come here. I'm going to tell you a secret, right? So then you've lowered your voice, right? So you have the projection, but then you also have, wow, Sensei Joey and Sarah, they couldn't wait to hear. They were both like climbing almost out of their camera to hear this special secret. All right, so that is changing your voice, but then that also means The language sometimes. So changing your voice, also changing the language, depending on who you're teaching.
Children's class versus an adult class.
Okay, right? Children's class. All right, so we're going to do our rainbow block. And everybody at Eastwind knows what that is, right? Whereas in an adult class, you'd say, okay, we're going to do middle block, right? So you're changing the language.
Yokuke, right? Yes.
Right?
And something to keep in mind, often a little bit of a tangent, is that when teaching kids, you got to be a big kid. If you don't write anything down today, write this down. Teaching kids, you got to be a big kid. All right. And then for teaching adults want to know why. Why are they doing something? Kids don't care why they just want to have fun and be challenged. We got to work on focus. But adults want to know why. Okay, why do we do a rainbow block? Right? Why does it? They want to know why. Once they know why, they can perform it better. And Kathy was saying also for adults, like doing the complete drill so they can see in their mind's eye, oh, that's what it has to look like. And then their bodies will follow much better. Whereas kids, maybe they don't have the attention span to watch the whole drill. They got to go step by step. But going back to the voice and the language. So language, the way we teach children, we use a different language than the way we teach adults.
Yeah, so varying the voice also means varying the language that you would use. Okay, and then we want to speak about using the pause. Okay, this is a super powerful teaching technique. It's the absence of sound. Okay, now for this as an instructor, sometimes you have to be really patient. All right, lots of times, large class, just before Christmas with kids, they're not listening. And it's not their fault. They're not being bad. They're not misbehaving. They're excited. Their energy is up here, but their attention span is down here. And instead of yelling to get their attention for the next activity, maybe you clap your hands, you use that sound, and then you stop and you wait.
And then one person will notice you're waiting, and then the other person, and then three more, and then that's a teaching technique. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't.
And this is not something that comes easy. It's difficult to wait. And you see them talking and you want to say, stop that, pay attention, look here, you stop. And wait for them. Okay, so you're waiting for the children to notice, oh, yeah, it's time to pay attention. And then you're teaching them to self-regulate. They're becoming a little bit more aware of that. But also the pause, just when you're speaking, even to adults, teaching a black belt class, teaching an adult class, and you say, okay, so now the most important part about competing at a tournament is, and you let that hang just for a moment. And then you say, oh, it's your, whatever is the message that you were trying to convey. Okay, so the pause can be very powerful. And this goes a little bit with varying the tone of your voice. Like if you're always teaching up here and everything is very loud and excited and everything, then people become a little bit desensitized, right? So you want to teach out here, you have your energy. Then it's time to bring the energy back down. Okay, this is important. I need everyone to listen, and we do this. And then you can go back to this. So the pause really helps with that.
All right, and then two last things is speak slower and more clearly. Everybody knows when we're nervous, we tend to speak faster, and it makes it harder for students to learn how to listen to hear what they're. So speak slower and more clearly. Be aware that if you're nervous, you tend to speak faster. Okay, and it makes it harder for students to hear what we're saying.
Sometimes you catch yourself and you've just said something too quick. Take a breath yourself. Okay. And then you say it again. Clearer. It's okay to make a mistake. Take a beat and then correct that. Okay. And then one last thing is make eye contact as you're using your voice and speaking. Don't speak to the floor. All right. Don't turn your back and still speak to the students. All right. Use eye contact, look at them and speak to them. Okay. That's a respectful thing to do. And it's an effective way then to use your voice. Then you're actually starting to connect another learning style, which we'll talk about at a future date. Okay. But making eye contact is important. Okay. So
One last thing is when you're speaking, many of our instructors are good at this, but like we're all passionate about martial arts. So if you put some emotion in your voice too, that's gonna get the student passionate about martial arts.
yes.
Okay, there's nothing wrong with speaking with some emotion.
All right, so we're going to put everybody into breakout rooms again. All right, small groups. So we want you to practice some of these things, different voices and tones, but think about what feels comfortable because that's going to look differently to everybody. So what feels comfortable and then what is most difficult? And that will give you a little indication of what maybe you need to personally work on. If something is easy, great. And if something isn't, why? And is there something that you can do? All right. And then we'll come back together again for a little discussion and questions too, of course. Before I put everybody in breakout rooms, are there any questions? Nope. Okay. So I am going to open up the rooms and everyone will have about 10 minutes or so to work on this and then we'll come back together.
We're putting mood at.
I did.
Okay,
I forget where, but I did.
with Diana. Oh, I'm sure it'll work out.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Hi. Okay, so we're gonna start with the East Wind room, and let's just have a little quick discussion about using your voice effectively. All right, Sensei Evan.
So two groups.
Yeah, let's hear from the groups that didn't get a chance yet.
Sounds good. So let everyone join back in. So in our group, Senpai Gaia is gonna talk about what we did. So
Yeah,
She's gonna-
fantastic.
enthusiastic and super fun about it.
All right, so our group was very excited to talk about doing warm-ups. And so we went around the circle, we all started and tagged somebody in as we went. So Tanya got us started and she was very enthusiastic. So that part was great. And then we gave each other little critiques. So one of the things that that we came up with that maybe she could do a bit more was making eye contact as she went around. So, it didn't matter, like we were still engaged in our warm up, but she just made it around. And again, that sort of brought people in a bit more. And it had the benefit too of just making sure that she could see how everybody was doing. Then the next person. Yeah, and the next person who got tagged in really made a good effort at projecting their voice. And we had somebody off to the side. They saw that they weren't being involved. So again, they kind of in a friendly voice addressed that person, brought them over. And then we did something else where we we're enthusiastic about reaching really high and using that kind of a voice and then getting really low and reaching really high, getting really low. So modulating the voice to kind of create that sort of excitement, or interest. And yeah, so those were really the main things that we did. It was time, but putting that little bit of emotion in, and again, using the different kind of voices. So,
Excellent.
Very
Thank you
good.
very much.
all right.
Something we do at East Wind is that we'll warm up all together, we'll do a drill all together, but then we'll break into small groups because we have so many great black belts that come out to help each class and brown belts. And it enables us to break into smaller groups. When you're in a smaller group, Kathy just mentioned it about Tanya. If you're in a small group, it's very easy to make eye contact with every person, right? In a large group, might not be possible. But when we break into small groups, try to make eye contact with every person. It shows them that, it's that kind of connection you're making with the student.
So this is a bit of a tangent, but that reminded me of something. So great leaders really work to make eye contact with people. And there was an interview with Garth Brooks, right? Country superstar. And in his interview, they would say, like, how are people so crazy about you? And, things like that. And he would talk about, he would go to the venue or the arena where he was performing before, and he would look at the nosebleed section, and he would make a class plan. He would plan in his songs where he was singing to, and he would look directly up into the rafters. And of course, he can't actually see and make eye contact, but people would feel that he was making eye contact with them because he would look and he would point and he was singing directly up there. So, and I mean, he was one of the most successful country artists in history, right? And so, but he really worked at showing that he cared and using the eye contact. And so a little bit of a tangent. So it doesn't just apply to teaching martial arts, it's everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, who's next?
The other East Wind group, who's that? Sensei Queen?
Or what group is?
Who is the third group? Who's the spokesperson for the third group?
Okay, go Nancy, go.
Don't everybody speak at once? Sensei Nancy.
Oh, okay,
All right.
Sensei Nancy, excellent.
Our group focused on the challenges that we have when we're teaching. And it was really interesting to hear we actually went quite across the board from having challenges projecting to projecting too much.
Oh, who projects too much?
Somebody Matt. Maybe. No.
Keeping it down.
Teasing.
Just teasing.
Just teasing.
It's all love the enthusiasm.
And also speaking slowly, using the pause. We even came up with some, we shared some of our strategies as well. Like, we're having trouble getting to that back of the room. Try to move up towards the middle, because the folks up front probably know what's going on.
Great idea.
We didn't say what we meant to.
Yes.
Stand in different places. And
Good.
All right, keep going.
There's one where, afraid of making mistakes, so you end up being a little quieter. In all honesty, the kids are always riveted, so doesn't matter if you make a mistake, we can correct it later.
Exactly.
Too much projection. Speaking slowly really is just a practice thing. Like, you break it up, you deal with the next step, and then the next step.
Yes. Take a breath. Helps to slow your speaking.
And it's not easy. Sometimes for yourself, it sounds like, oh, I am speaking way too slowly, but actually, probably not. Better too slow than too fast.
Yeah.
In most cases.
And that's
But it's good to vary it up. Speak fast for some things and then slow things down. Right? That changing the tone, changing the speed, changing the volume, inserting the pause.
All right, let's go to a different room. How about with Sensei Phil?
Yeah.
Hey, look how in sync we were.
Okay, all right.
That was with
Few of
Dorothea and
the
Brian and
items
Sandy
we've
Wally.
already covered with other groups and that, but we were talking about when we break up into groups, and sometimes, yeah, one group is way too loud, it's very distracting, so you have to be certainly aware of your volume, that you're not over voluming and disturbing other groups. So that was one issue. And so you need to be aware of that. The other thing that we kind of got discussing was and we're talking about a children's class here, that
Okay.
that you might have say you have a group of children and you have maybe one or two that have learning difficulties, ADHD, very dyslexic, cannot hold any attention at all. How you deal with that? And well, what I like to do is when you're speaking with them, yeah, again, we're talking about eye contact. You have to look at them directly to get your message across to them. But we have a group, okay? So you might have 6 kids in the group, and then you have this one problematic, I don't want to say a problematic kid, but I mean, the one student that requires more of your attention than say the other kids. And you have to be aware of how you split your time and get their attention, but also keep the attention of the rest of the group as well. So it can be difficult at times, and eye contact and just just keeping them I think aware of you.
Yeah.
But you certainly you don't want to spend 100% of your time focusing on that one child, because then you've ignored the rest. So it's a balancing act that you have to go through.
That's right. We have a topic. Our 4th topic today is
The challenging student.
Chal-
We'll come to some of
working with the challenging student.
come to some of that.
Okay.
Good. But definitely eye contact with somebody
Definitely helps.
with
As
ADHD
you're
or
speaking to them.
ADHD. Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing is, if you've got a group right next to you that's doing something really, really interesting and it distracts, just that distracts your group, and that, so I don't know, have them face away from that group or whatever it takes, and that so that they're not distracted by what's going on in the next group over.
Right. Yes.
All good strategies.
Yeah.
All right, let's move to our next room. That's with Uchi Martial Arts and Sensei Kevin, Fred, and Kathy. Who's going to speak?
Okay, we don't do all the groups this time. We could do one more. Who's Sensei Alex is getting up. He's
Alex.
coming towards the camera. He's running. He's
Yay!
touchdown.
I'm sure in case anyone else wanted to speak. But a lot of actually what we had talked about is some of our challenge. It was the challenges in mainly projecting our voice, especially in large groups. So, and I'm just doing this, I'm ad-libbing this from my memory of our conversation, again, to repeat a lot of what everyone else has said. Something that I said as well is that if you're a teacher and you're holding your hands to your body, you tend to keep your voice quieter. So if you're trying to project your voice to be more animated and allow your hands to do more work. Playing the pause, exactly, right? Playing the pause almost in a non-grammatical way. So when we speak a sentence, we want to put in a lot of words. A lot of those words become noise. Say only right foot front stance, rather than saying, I want you to put your right foot forward into your front stance. It gives them less to worry about, especially with the younger groups, as opposed to, okay, I need to physically take my foot forward. So I need to take right foot, front stance. And I'll use those voice inflections and how I project to help with that.
Nice.
Sorry, Sensei.
That's great. Yeah, keep going.
I like that, how you say, just say, okay,
Just say what.
front stance, instead of, I want you to put your right leg in front and we're gonna do front stance because this is what we're working on tonight and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I like that.
Great. That's a good technique.
Coming at it from a point of just to talk about Sensei Mateo, a point of confidence. And you may not know the answer to what you're teaching, you may not know the exact way of doing it. It's a two-part point I have. Number one, if you don't know, don't make it up. But what you do know, be confident in that and don't be afraid to make a mistake. You know what? I don't know that answer to your question, but how I can bring that forward, I will find out, right? So it's not quite going into the voice projection, but don't be afraid to make a mistake, but be confident in what you do. Did I just say
So that's the great thing about being part of a bigger organization, because my go-to line is, I don't know, I'm gonna ask Sensei Neil. I don't know, I'm gonna ask Tata Sensei. Yeah, I'm gonna ask Sensei. I don't know. Let's keep going. I don't know the answer. I'm gonna find out. Keep going. Don't make up the answer. I like that.
Did I miss anything else, guys?
His experiences and then going to training.
That was good. Maybe we should jump to room 4 just super quick. So that was with
Jean-Marc, Denise, Pierre, Marcel, Sylvain.
You have a quick 30-second because we really should move on.
Anything
to add, I guess.
Yeah. Sylvain?
We talk about the things that we find more difficult when we are speaking, teaching, what to pay attention, like using pause. One thing mentioned is using pause is to use it also to see if people understood what I just said. So if I said something, then I take a pause, and if everyone is like this, okay, they didn't understand, so I'm gonna re-explain. Or if they're like that, okay, they got it. Or also
I like that.
Yeah. And also to not speak too much.
Yes. Don't say too much, and using that pause to check in with the students to make sure that they understand. I think that's a fantastic point.
Yeah. If someone asks something about, hey, why do we do that? And it's something very passionate about that. So begin to talk about it, but talking too much. So just a bit of explanation. After that, if more explanation is needed, during a pause or something else to not stop the momentum of the class.
Good. Okay. Excellent. Good. All right. So we're going to move on to our next topic. Okay. So our topic today is teaching with a theme. So in this section, we want to present different ideas for ways of communication and leading the class. So we want to, of course, we want to be creative and think of alternative ways to present the same material.
Yeah. So Eastwind Dojo, we have a monthly theme. Maybe not all dojos maybe have a weekly theme, but I think by having a theme gives you a focus. So.
And then it's easier to make your class plan. Oh, and then it's easier to structure your class. Okay, so it's all domino effect.
And it could be by session, like maybe you do 8-week sessions. Okay, this session we're working on self-defense. Next session we'll be working on kata. Next session we'll be working on basics. Or you could be more specific in that Eastwind will have as I mentioned, we have our back to basics months. But next month we'll be working on, say, sparring. The month after we'll be working on kicks. So our theme might be kicking, and that's the lesson, but we'll finish up with kata. Or
because there's some kicks and some kata, right?
Or we'll focus on kata, but then we'll finish up with some, self-defense.
Because some of those techniques come from kata, right? So, but yes. So, but
It just helps you have a focus for your class.
And then the idea is you want to think of different ways to present that material. All right, because children especially need variety to keep them engaged. Okay, adults are more likely to do the same thing class after class, but they need variety as well. All right, so some ideas are, using props. Okay, so a prop is your equipment, whether it's a kicking shield or a blocker. Your belt can be a prop. Your partner can be a prop. We're going to, in the future, talk about teaching on Zoom, but a pillow can be a prop or a chair can be a prop. Okay, so there's all different things that can be a prop. Okay, and then in the warm-up, right, we talk about preparing the body for the lesson. So here you have to keep the theme in mind. So if the lesson is sparring, you probably don't need to spend 20 minutes on strengthening upper body exercises. Probably you should be thinking about agility exercises, right, for moving and sparring. So that's one example. If your theme is kata, then probably a general warm-up for the body is what's needed. So you want to keep the theme in mind for the warm-up. All right, so that the warm-up then helps to prepare the body, but not just the body, the mind and the spirit for the actual lesson. Okay, so what we're going to do right now is we're going to give examples about this. So we're going to say that our theme is kicking. So we're going to actually demonstrate and show some different ways we are on to teach and to practice kicks. Okay, so everybody knows we line up and we say right leg back front stance. Okay, front kick, and you're just doing reps. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's fantastic.
It's one way.
That's one way. Okay, you can take that same doing the reps, but having enough people holding the kicking shields, and then you're using a prop with doing the reps. It's already something different.
Right. Or if you don't have kicking shields, like community centers, we don't have the equipment there, take your belt off, tie a knot in your belt. There's the target for the kid. They can practice front kick.
I want to move this.
Okay.
So we can, yes, it's going to move this. All right, so then if you have senpai instructors in the dojo, then you can divide the class into groups to work on belt specific kicks, right? So white belts are learning how to do front kick and roundhouse kick, and color belts are learning how to do a spinning side kick, for example, okay? And then you can also teach the kicks from different stances. Okay, so we're going to learn how to do a front kick. All right, and this is our basic way of doing the front kick. Oh, well, we can also do a front kick this way. So maybe this is something to work on with higher belts that have learned hat stance, right? To pull that leg back and do that front kick. Whereas a white belt, this is probably what you're doing. Okay, or sparring stance, right? And we're learning how to kick off the front leg and the back leg in a sparring stance, for example. So you can teach that that's the same kick, front kick, but we're just doing it from different stances.
Or another, you take you're doing front kick, facing the front. All right, turn 90 degrees. Okay, wow, it's completely different. Okay, turn 90 degrees. Okay. Oh, wow. All right. That's a quick way to get the kids to do 40 kicks.
And you've done it the same way in line, but you just change the direction.
Same thing for kata, right? Starting kata, facing the front. Okay, turn 90 degrees. Okay, well, you just got the person to do the kata 4 times. Seems, it's different enough by turning 90 degrees. If you have them do it 4 times this way, maybe by the 3rd time, they're going to be bored. Right, so simple turning 90 degrees and doing the same exercise can be different enough.
Okay, then you can take the kick, but you don't have to demonstrate it. You can take a student out of line and bring them up to demonstrate it and have them show it different directions. Maybe this is somebody that is a fantastic kicker and maybe they can actually do the kick better than you can. So let them do it and show how it's done properly. Or maybe this is someone who really needs a bit of a confident boost and you know that they can do this front kick. So you have them come up and you're showing the front kick, maybe holding a pad, and then you have everybody clap. Good job.
High five. High five is a good motivator.
Okay. Then we have our moving target drills. So we have kicking in line in front stance. Okay. And then here's my target. Sensei Mike is holding the target. So then he moves the target and I'm still going to kick in my front stance, but I have to change my direction. Oh, I have to back up and kick. Does it have to be in front stance? Okay, so now it's going to be more in sparring stance. Oh, and I can kick off my front leg. All right, so I'm still only doing front kick, but how many different ways is this already?
Moving target drill is a little more realistic than a static, but that's the first step. Start with static, higher belts, moving target. A little more realistic, takes a little more coordination, distance, my eye. Right, Sensei Mark? Not your eye, my eye.
So you can apply this to anything. We're just using front kick as an example. So
and then the different
drills. We've listed all these different ways. If we can do front kick the entire month with all of these different things. Then I have a partner and we'll do this leg so you can see, and I have to kick over my partner's back. So we're practicing, bringing your knee up nice and high. Bring your knee up, kick out, back in, and down. We can do this with front kick. I can do this with side kick, right? Anything. Okay. So your partner is your prop. If you're at home practicing, the chair can be your prop, right? Doing that same thing. Also, maybe you need your partner for balance. So we can do Sensei Mike front stance. Facing me, please.
Okay.
Hang on my hand. Okay, so we're both going to do front kick. And we're holding each other for balance. Okay, more advanced students. Okay, we're going to do front kick. Set it down in front. Change. Front kick. Set it down in front and change. So here's a little evolution. Okay, so holding your partner for balance. More advanced students may be moving. One more. Can you go back down on all fours? So I put my foot on my partner's back and he has to move. When he stops, I do my kick.
Right, remember this one? Do this one.
And I have to move. When he stops, so you can't see me anymore, but when he stops, then I kick. Okay? So
now I'm from LSIE.
That's right. So did anybody count and keep track? How many different ways was that of teaching a front kick? Kathy?
8.
Kathy said 8.
30.
And Sylvain said 30.
I think about 8 or 9.
So if your theme is kicking, like 1 month, these are all different ways to do the same kick, different ways. But then of course we have side kick, back kick, roundhouse kick.
Yeah, so this was just front kicks. You can take all of those things and apply them to different kicks. And then of course, we've got spinning kicks and jumping kicks and kicks we use in sparring, kicks in black belt katas.
And you guys have even more ideas than.
So the challenge is for you then to come up with different ways of teaching the same thing. Okay, we need to teach front stance. Well, how can I teach it differently? So I'm not just saying, bend your knee in front stance, bend your knee, bend your, right? How can you then convey that same message in a different way?
Be creative. You guys are all very creative.
So you get to go back to your breakout room and be creative. So we thought we would give you the theme of kata. Okay, the theme of the month is kata. All right, so how are you going to teach the kata? Think about teaching it. Is this a first-time student that you're teaching it to, or is it refining for higher belts? You guys can choose, but then think about different ways that you might do that. How is it different for maybe different belts, different ages? Or are you teaching in a mixed class, and how might that look? Okay, and now also going to the next level, how can you incorporate using your voice with this theme? And like, counting versus non-counting. Oh, what kind of warm-ups then would you do to prepare the body, mind, and spirit for a kata class? Okay, so we have all these different things that we can think about. So we're actually kind of excited to see what you guys might come back with. And then maybe we'll be using some of those ideas next week in some future classes. Anything else, Sensei Mike?
I have one thing, but after.
After, okay. Do you need to
How
write it
long do we
down?
have, Sensei?
10 minutes.
About 10 minutes. I know it's not very long.
No, that's fine. Just so that
Okay.
we know. Thanks.
Okay, excellent. Good luck, everybody.
Hello, welcome back. All right. How did that go?
All right, why don't we start with how about like
Room 4?
Sensei Brian and Dorothea? Who's that? Room 2. Did we lose? Oh no, there they are. Yeah, okay. Whoever was in that room who's gonna speak. And
I don't know. I'm pretty shy, so I can only try.
okay.
Okay.
So focusing on kata, certainly one of the things we talked about is some of the basics where moving around on the floor, or what are you taking a picture of? Moving around the floor, which could be just simply going back and forth and working on your basic stances, throw some kicks in, punches, blocks. Very much what we do on a black belt karate class on a Monday night is stick with those basics. And then potentially throw some changes in, going in the different directions with basic moves, which all incorporate into kata at some point in time. So you can do like groups of punches, kicks, blocks, and whatever, and then just go in different directions for that. Now, one of the things that Sensei Laura did, which reminds me of some of my training in the past, is doing the kata going in different directions.
Yes.
So I like doing that because I find it really challenges you on your spatial orientation. And do you know the kata? It tells you a little bit more whether you know it or not. And what I've done with students is just to mess them up, but also to teach them that how you're moving around with other people, and how well you know in the kata is I'll have, let's say, 4 people back to back where they're either on corners or sides, and then they start doing the kata. So they're going in different directions. They usually start off fairly well, and then when they're turning around and looking at what the other guy's doing, no, don't do that.
That screws them up.
What are you doing? But you also want to be in a position you're not bumping into other people. So
Right.
taking it the next step in a large class when you've got 2 or 3 rows of students is one row is going in one direction, another row is going in a different direction, third row, of course, in a third direction. And it's wild to watch, but when it works, it's beautiful.
Yeah, that's a good way because that really helps you gotta work on your focus, right? If
Yes,
you're doing one kata and the guy in the other row is doing another kata, you gotta focus on what you're doing.
it's almost like a barroom brawl with nobody drinking.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
Well, yeah, and you gotta have the other black belts, or you have to be watching, making sure no one no one crashes into each other. And what we do for that is I always say the higher belt yields to the lower belt. So if you're coming, all right, let the lower belt turn and go before you continue.
That would be the smart way to do it, yes.
All
I don't
right,
know if it's
let's move to our next room. How about like Sensei Kevin, Sensei Fred, Kathy, and everyone in Uchi Martial Arts who's going to speak this time?
I think I've been nominated this time, Sensei.
Ah, awesome.
All right.
So a few things, yeah. So Sensei Brian said one of them we focused with doing the kata in different directions.
Yeah.
Picking something out of the kata that's unique to kind of focus on. Like, for example, if you take Taikyoku Shodan, it's an H pattern. If you do it correctly, you should end up in the same spot. So
Right.
you'll pick something unique about that. There are some other parts of kata that are unique as well. Like if I'm teaching on Sandan, you have 6 different stances. You can say, okay, let's focus on what this kata takes it forward because it adds stances. Breaking that kata down in segments before you move on, I think was another thing we focused on.
That's a great way.
Doing partner drills, which focus on an element of the kata that you can almost do as a drill. If you take Sandan, if my opponent is facing me with their arm against mine, you're holding the block and punching at the same time so that you're each doing a block and a punch. So you've focused on that element of the kata that's
Okay.
you're blocking and punching. You're doing 2 things in this kata, not just one. So those were a few of the things that I think, focused on. Kathy was taking notes, so she may want to add there.
Yeah, there's a couple more. People mentioned doing it in a straight line, or only doing the hands, or only doing the feet.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Somebody said switching the kata halfway. So you start with Taikyoku Shodan and then you just say, okay, we're doing Cypher now, and just have them start.
Oh, that's a new one.
Oh, that's a mind bend.
I usually do that by mistake.
Yeah.
Not on purpose.
I do that. Our eyes closed. So those are some of the other ones, as well as the ones Sensei Fred talked about.
That's awesome.
Nice. So,
Okay.
so you guys are reminding me of a bunch of things too. Like there's 8 ways to do kata. Hands only, feet only, hands and feet, eyes closed, breathing only.
Direction.
No. That's 5. I gotta check my notes. But yes, I love it. Like hands only, Taikyoku Shodan, hands only, low block, punch, low block, punch, low block, punch, punch, punch. Bye, Carrie. Hold on, Carrie's just leaving.
Well, let's go to the next room.
See?
Bye. Yes, double check the eyes.
Yeah, very good. Like doing, you might not, like I'm thinking of Kogoro now, like in a big class, you might not be able to do Shushin-okun, a bow kata 4 directions, but change the sai, change the tonfa. Do the same kata 4 directions. Try doing it with no feet, just the hands. Block, punch, hey, 1, 2.
Or in a weapons class, you actually put the weapon down and you
Yes.
do the kata without the weapon, but you have to still mimic what the bow is doing, right? Or the sai.
Right.
Okay.
That was
that's why these sorry.
Hanshi Perkowski told me that every time you do a bow kata, you should do it just as many times without the bow. So like pretending you have the bow or pretending you have the sai, pretending you have the tonfa.
Guess what we're doing next week?
And that's great if you like have no space or something, just pretend.
And I mean, that
but it's
kind of
hard on the
exercise is
head.
definitely more for an advanced student than a
Yes,
beginner,
for black
for
belts.
sure. But that's why a course like this is invaluable, right? We're sharing different ideas, and something that you pick up from hearing from somebody else might just resonate with you, or think that might help a certain student.
Yeah.
All right, let's move to room 4. So that is Sensei Jean-Marc, Luke, Elise, Sylvain, let's say Joey. Who would like to speak this time? Okay, go for it. Go for it, Sarah.
You guys got special signs? I don't know which.
Oh, you're still muted.
Sorry, Joey usually takes care of that part. All right. So we did cover a lot of the same things, like the same ideas. Some of the different ways that we've done it too are like you said, with your eyes closed, but sometimes we'll actually do it in the dark. If it's dark outside, we'll turn the lights off and make sure there's still a bit of light, but for no one's cheating. Or sometimes we could do it backwards or even mirror image. One of the things that we do that's kind of fun that I was just about to mention before the breakout room ended is we have some Nerf balls. So sometimes to work on concentration, like before a black belt grading, or sometimes just for fun, we'll have one person do their kata, and then we'll have these little Nerf balls, and no hitting in the face, but other than that, so everyone's around them and they're just throwing them to distract them. So either whether it hits them or not, and just for them to work on their focus. So it's fun for everyone. But so yeah, but a lot of the same things were discussed.
Senpai Kaylin, are you taking notes? That sounds like a fantastic camp activity.
It's a lot of fun.
Don't do the Kobudo katas in the dark.
No.
Well, I mean, not everybody
Especially not like Sai or Kama. Okay, let's move to
Next time.
our next topic. Okay, so honestly, we could spend the entire seminar on each one of these topics that we've introduced, but the idea is to just get the ball rolling. All right, so topic number 4 is the challenging student. Okay, so it is easy to teach a student who's eager to learn, actively engaged, self-motivated, a quick learner, athletic, all of these things, they're starting here. It's easy to teach those people. Anybody at all can teach those people. It is much harder to teach people that are not like this, that you have to motivate, that you have to give more guidance to. But those are the people that need us the most. All right? They really, really are. Someone who doesn't learn as fast. Okay, you need to spend a little more time with them so that they get the information. Okay, so much of this section is designed towards teaching groups of children, all right, and strategies for class management and keeping sort of control of class behavior. But some of this also translates to adults and black belts as well. But we also want to highlight, we're not talking about students with disabilities. This is maybe more behavioral. They're just generally not paying attention, that kind of behavior. And also, you can't help everybody. You're only human. You're only one person. You do the very best that you can, but sometimes you can't.
But you try.
You can't help this person, okay? And it's not your fault. Sometimes it's not that person's fault. Sometimes it's the parent's fault. But you can't help everybody. You can only do your best, okay? So the challenging student, all right? So you want to build a relationship with this person that is challenging. So
as you want to do with all students.
Yes.
Right.
So things like use their name and you show an interest in them as a person. Oh, wow. Sarah, you got a new haircut. That looks really nice. Okay, so that you're showing interest. You've noticed something different about that person. Okay, so that's just a small little example. Okay, so you saying their name, helping to make that connection.
But even with all children, all students, even adults. Oh, hey, good work on your new stripe, or congratulations on your new belt. Like that recognition. People love to hear that.
Or an adult. Oh, hey, Mike, I heard you got a new car. What kind of car, right?
I
So
wish.
that's yeah.
Lamborghini.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so just building that relationship, okay, that actually goes a long way. Okay, these people don't care what you know until they know that you care. So you're demonstrating that. All right, now then sometimes you need to analyze, and this has to be done very quickly on the spot or after. What is the cause of the struggle? So is the student seeking attention? Right? Is it the person that's always blurting out the answer to the question without waiting, and they're hyperactive, right? So then what can you do? Can you give them some correction to work on? Can you enlist them as a peer helper somehow? What can you do to temper that? All right. Or are they bored? Are they literally just bored, and they're looking around and they're very lackadaisical? So maybe it's time to change up the activity, okay, and move on to something else. Is this child fooling around with a friend or a sibling? Oh, maybe they need to be separated, right? They go in a different group entirely, or if that's not possible, well, one's in the front line over here and one's in the back line over here. Okay, so that might change how you're lining them up and your class management. So you need to kind of think about what is the struggle that's happening at that moment. And then the other thing that you can do with a challenging student, okay, is set clear expectations. So you show them what kind of behavior that you actually expect. So this is what we would call a preemptive strike. And I'm going to give the example at our community centers. I'm sure everybody can think of an example somewhere, but at our community centers, it's a large group. At one of our community centers, we might have 40 children in a class that we need to grade, and they all need their belt tied or a new stripe, and they all need their recognition, their clap, their bow, their turn to present. So the best thing to do is you sit them all down and you say, we're going to bring these students up first. And I know it's difficult, but you need to be sitting, legs crossed, hands folded. This is a very respectful thing to do. All right, and you wait your turn. Then you present, the first 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 students with their new belt or their stripe. They get their special moment. You clap. They go back to their spot. And then you can reiterate. And again, it's a preemptive strike. And you say, thank you for this group waiting so politely and respectfully. Now, the students who just had their grading, now it's your turn to show just as much respect as what these students. Okay, so you're telling them what it is that you expect. Okay. Anything to add about the preemptive strike, Sensei Mike?
No. No, just set the expectations ahead, and then they know it helps them understand what they should be doing.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then if you really have like a problem student, they're the ones they're constantly fooling around or not paying attention, or they're just energetic. Busy, yes. So what you want to do, sometimes an effective strategy, is you want to catch them doing something good. Okay? And often that's at the very start of an activity. Okay, and whatever it is you're doing, you're practicing a kata or a sparring drill, and you say, wow, Kevin, that was really good. Everybody, watch Kevin do that. And then he does it again. And you say, okay, now we're all going to do that just like Kevin. Okay, so you've caught him doing something good. And then he knows that everyone is watching him and trying to be like him. So you've caught them doing something good. So they're going to continue in that same behavioral vein.
Right. Or if
Okay.
they're always moving around, catch them standing in ready stance or natural stance still. There, look, Kevin, I like how you're standing so still in ready stance.
And this is something you can
Right.
do publicly, like right away in class, or that can even be done at the end of class, shaking hands. And you can say, "Oh, Kevin, I saw you really, really working hard to wait patiently while I was speaking. I'm so proud of you. Thank you so much."
My name's not Kevin now, actually. So.
Okay, so catch them doing something good.
Yes.
So that is
so reward positive behavior, right? This kid, not Sensei Kevin, but this kid has just been at school all day, and probably the teacher has said their name 50 times. Joe, sit down. Joe, be quiet. Joe, stop moving. Joe, stop fidgeting. Joe, da, da, da. Like they've been caught doing bad things all day and they've been told about it. At the dojo, we want to try and catch them doing something good. It's hard, but that will go miles because it's positive reinforcement and people react, children, everybody reacts in positive ways with positive reinforcement. So catch them doing something good, praise them for it. If there's fidgeting around and stuff like that, you still have to keep them from doing that. But there's other ways of doing that besides saying their name. Stop moving, Joe, Mike, stop moving, Mike, stop doing that, stop, Mike, stop doing that, Mike, stop. You can make eye contact with them.
So that's the very next point.
look,
Making the eye contact
yeah.
and using the pause instead of saying their name in a negative way, right?
Or shake your head. No. Right? It doesn't draw attention to them. So maybe by drawing attention to them, they're going to become embarrassed. So by not drawing attention to them, we alleviate that. But just by making eye contact, they know they should be standing still or doing this stretch or something like that. Right? And if they still don't get it, then you eye contact and maybe shake your head. Don't do that, as opposed to saying their name.
So we want to say their names. We talked about 3 times in class, but in a positive way.
Yeah.
So not, I don't want to say anybody's name now. Stop doing that. Oh, move over. This is your line. Hands to yourself, right? Instead of, but use that pause, eye contact. Sometimes like
See that snap? That's a karate technique.
Oh, yes, Kathy. Yes. She had that right away. All right. And then the next thing we want to talk about is we just call it PCP.
Not the drugs.
PCP. Praise, correct, praise.
Yeah. How do you say that in French? Praise, correct. Is it the same letters?
Maybe not the same acronym. I don't know. Okay, you can think about that. But praise, correct, praise. So we want to say, do a punch. Oh, Sensei Mike, that was so good. That was really, really strong. But remember, we're doing high punch. So we're going to move our hand up a little bit higher. Okay, now go. Ah, you got it. Good job.
Yes.
Okay, so I've recognized his effort, his strength, his good technique. I reminded a little correction. Actually, this is supposed to be a high punch, so made the correction. He does it again, and then I say, yes, you got it. That is what I want to see.
Or
PCP.
Front stance. Oh, good. Your back leg is straight. Nice. Okay, now just bend your front knee a little bit more. Oh, perfect. Good job. So praise something, and then give them a little correction and then praise again.
Now, we showed 2 examples, doing it there immediately on the spot. You can also do that over the course of the class.
LCL.
Whether it's their behavior or a technique, whether it's bending that knee in front stance. But then at the end of the class, you do the kata one more time, and that's when you praise them and say, yes, I saw that you were bending your knee in front stance in that kata. That's exactly what I want to see. Good job. Okay, so it can be instantaneous, or it could be over the course of the lesson. The praise, the correct, and the praise. Okay?
Actually, Sensei Donna gave me a good article many, many years ago. You don't want to do false praise. And the whole article is about praising the effort and the work. So everybody can work harder and become better. Whereas, I have to read the article again, but through work, like through practice and training, or in school studying, everybody can become better, smarter. And it's about praising the effort and the work versus just the praise.
Just the outcome, the result. All right. So another thing you can do is enlist others to set good examples, right? So positive peer pressure. So peer pressure is not always negative, right? Positive peer pressure. Hey, see what Max is doing? Do it just like that. Okay, and then they're looking up to Max, be just like Max, right? So, and then Max is going to be better, and he's going to put forth his best effort and technique. So you've just elevated the whole class or the whole lesson. Okay. Now you have to model good behavior yourself. Okay. So that means
you have to keep training.
You have to keep training, but I'm thinking of more things like, oh, this kid again, right? And rolling my eyes or sighing or like, oh, I have to work with it. Nope.
Can't do that.
Can't do that. You have to model good behavior. And that's difficult.
In private, okay.
Right? Because, oh, I want to work with Kathy because she's easy to teach. Oh my goodness. And she's so strong and smart and eager. I want to work with this person. Oh, I have to work with this one.
Michael.
Okay, right. So you have to model that good behavior yourself. Okay.
And I tell you, the reward is much, I don't know, for me, it feels better when I can get that person, a challenging student here, right? Versus a natural athlete, a coordinated person, there. Like, so the reward is there. And they're, as we said at the beginning, they're the people that need martial arts.
And then one last thing we want to highlight with the challenging student is sometimes, and again, this is more for teaching children, is communicating with the parents if needed. So you can also use that preemptive strike that we spoke about with the parents. So you're communicating the expectations to the parents as well as the child, right? It's not the child's fault if they're late. Most of the time, it's the parent who is bringing them.
Right, they had to work, and might not be their fault.
Might not be anybody's fault.
We always say better late than never. Never punish a kid for being late.
That can be a behavioral thing. After class, you can say, listen, we had a tough class today. He wasn't really listening, so we would like him to next class, really come, ready to work hard. Do you think you guys could talk about that, that he's going to have his belt next class and he's going to be all ready, and he's not going to complain that he's hungry or that he's thirsty, make sure that he has a little snack before class, right? So that's like the preemptive strike with the parent.
Or go to the bathroom before class.
Yes. And with the parent, you can also communicate their successes. So remember last week when he struggled? guess what? We had the best class today. His kata was so good. I could really tell
Johnny
that
had
he was practicing.
Yeah. Oh, Joey has his hand up. Or Sarah.
Thanks, Sensei. I just wanted to ask if I could I run it by a scenario by you that something that I do and just get your thoughts on it? Is that okay?
Sure.
So it's similar to actually the last couple of points you mentioned about communicating with the parents. Sometimes I'll have a student that and a lot of my students have, some sort of acronyms, ADHD or something that they're dealing with, but I have a lot of students that have different triggers and things. And sometimes I try not to have them like sit out or anything like that unless it's for safety reasons or something,
Right.
if
Yeah.
there's a safety concern. But sometimes that does happen. Or they lose at a game and they just have a big meltdown or something like that. And what I usually do with those is because I don't want them to leave and then in the car on the way home, like, oh, how was class? Oh, I got in trouble, right? Like that's the only thing they're going to remember about class. So I usually try and talk with the parent and say, oh, hey, Dallas had a really difficult class today. This happened or that happened, but we had to talk about it and like Dallas will be right there and I'll say, well, now Dallas understands, why he has to do this or what the expected behavior is of him. And so that way, if he does complain in the car, then the parent's like, well, Sensei said it was, that you guys talked about this and you sorted it out, or it just sort of
Right.
preempts that complaint from the child to the parent that, oh, the class was terrible because I got in trouble, even though it was only like a tiny little thing.
100%. And I do this a lot so that I reach the parent before the child does, because you got them in trouble, but probably
Go to
not
the
in big
parent.
trouble. But
Right.
you go and you
Yeah.
say, listen, he was really bothering his sister today in class,
Didn't
and
have-
I had to separate them. And then he got upset because he wanted to stand beside his sister in class, but then she couldn't practice. So for the good of his sister, right? So whatever the scenario is. So I think that's an excellent thing to do. And again, it's that preemptive strike so that you're right, that the child doesn't go and say, oh, well, I got in trouble.
And then to try and
I don't want to go. Well, then the parent knows, oh, well, you got in trouble because, you kept poking at your sister when you weren't supposed to. So, yeah.
Yeah, and then usually I try and leave them with something, like yes, he had this problem, but then like, we recovered from it, didn't we, buddy? And like, so then he leaves thinking about, okay, the last thing I got was that praise from Sensei, and hopefully it
Right.
overrides the,
Right.
trouble.
Right.
Yeah, leave on a
So we're
positive.
running out of time. So we're running out of time, but we want to put everybody in their breakout rooms to have a quick little discussion, and we'll come back. And I don't know if there'll be much time for a discussion at the end, but
Hey, we have Punchy John Atkinson.
hello, Sensei.
Hey.
Welcome. Glad you're here. Who is like an expert in
So we're just
teaching.
talking about correct praise, and yeah.
So, all right. So some things to discuss. Everybody will have a scenario, I'm sure, that they'll say, oh my goodness, when I was teaching this kid, or this person came in, whatever. We all have those stories. All right. So some things to think about is like basic things. A student's not paying attention, learning the kata. What do you do?
Or poking
All right.
their neighbor.
Or how can you use your voice in this situation? Is there an alternative
or not using your voice.
to yelling?
Right? Yeah.
Okay. And at what point,
I don't think
say-
anybody yells, but
at what point, say you're a more junior instructor or not the main instructor at the dojo, at what point would you seek help with a student in the group? All right. And maybe if you are a main instructor, is there a point where you would remove a student from class, right? So just think about some of these things. And
it's always a last resort, to make them give them a timeout. But
then what kind of incentives would you use then to encourage better behavior so you don't have to go to that last resort?
Right.
Okay, so those are some discussion questions that you guys can think about. This is going to be a quick breakout room, and then we'll come back together and have a quick discussion just to finish.
And then we're gonna wrap up. We got some points just to wrap up.
Okay, any questions just before we? Okay, I'm gonna open those breakout rooms and pause the recording. Now we can talk to. Excellent. Yes, so welcome back. So we need just we're we're out of time. But we would like to just have a quick little round table to talk about the challenging student section. Maybe Eastwind, why don't you guys go first? See if there's a.
Yeah, I'm really cold. We're freezing.
Hey, Tatiana,
Hello.
looking good.
So we had actually, I remember at the community center, we had the challenging child, and we were thinking what to do with him. So one of the things that I got from some of the senseis is that an example, if we have the child was hitting the other child in a when they were doing the drills between students. So one of the things we can do instead of doing between the students, you line them up, use the black belts, and do with the black belt so he doesn't hit the other kid. The other things, I saw that sometimes when you start doing things with a smaller group, it could be 2-3 kids, they start going a little bit out of, start chatting and going a little bit out of the concentration. What I did, like I would say, attention stance, ready stance. So I would sort of use that little bit higher voice, like to bring them up or do some, okay, let's do just a basic stuff just to bring them out of that, like a chatting mode, and then continue. So, yeah, so what else we had? I forgot now. Yeah, so here, that's from us now.
Very good.
Awesome. Okay,
Maybe
anything?
one more group, and then we're gonna try to summarize everything.
Is there another group that has something that they might like to share? Might not have time for everybody.
But maybe one thing sometimes also with Agile I have that case is that sometimes it's matching people with the same energy when you're doing drill, or sometimes some are not realize how much stronger that they are with the other.
Oh yes,
be careful. So we have doing some drills, and I have some ladies which are 70 years older and plus, and young people. Some take care, but some when they strike, they strike. So be careful with if I put you with her because she's good, but
that's right.
She's weaker.
That's great. Yeah, and that's something we'll have to talk about another time. But people are in martial arts for all different kinds of reasons, right? So, in the case of those two people, this one might really, really want to work hard and exercise and go to tournaments or fight and spar. This one just wants to keep active, mind, body, spirit, and just they don't want to break their bones, when they come to class, right? So. Yes. So thank you.
Good.
So as we said, each one of these topics that we covered today, we probably could have spent the entire 3 hours on any one of them and given you guys a longer chance for some discussion and practical, and then coming back and sharing, because that's how we all learn the most is when we share.
Right.
So in conclusion,
quick review. So structuring a class, have a plan, but be flexible. It's like go and do.
And remember the four
parts
of a class.
Before the class, the warm-up, the lesson, and the finish. Use your voice, be effective, different tones, different volumes, the pause. Don't forget the pause. Don't forget the pause. So we use a theme of the month at at our dojo. So it sometimes helps to keep focus. Know the theme. Tailor the warm up to the lesson. So if you're working on kicks, you want to do a little more stretching than if you're working just on kata or forms.
And then all the different ways maybe to convey your theme, right? So you're not doing exactly the same thing every single class, right?
Because you get the
Change it up.
kids, you get those kids that come to every single class. You want to change it up for them, right? You get the people that come once a week, but you get those students that come every class. So they want to same thing, but face a different direction or different exercise. Challenging student. So state clear expectations. PCP, correct praise, or langue communiquer langue. What is the French?
I didn't even read it.
Louange.
Louanger ou féliciter.
Yes.
Louanger, corriger, louanger.
And yes, catch them doing something good. Okay, and praise that. And then we just have a little conclusion here saying, this course is a reminder that effective teaching is about building relationships. People don't care what you know unless they know that you care. Be sincere, caring, and make the student feel valued. Remember, this skill is to be learned and practiced just like anything else. Carry these strategies with you in your next classes and be confident, creative, and compassionate. You're not just teaching, but we're shaping lives, right? Thank you for attending. Part 2, we got a second part already in the works. We want to talk about learning styles. So there's 4 different learning styles.
The different things. So we talked about then like using your voice.
Right? There's also visual, tactile learners. So some people, like we've had blind students in the dojo. They use Audible, right?
So we want to talk about these different learning styles and then the teaching styles and techniques that might help with that.
Some other teaching styles, and then teaching on Zoom, and then some of our black belts would have 10 commandments for instructors. Sensei Queen, Sensei Donna, Sensei Mark, Sensei Evan should
They know
have
what we're talking about. So
10 commandments for instructors. So we go over those.
what does that say?
Disabilities.
Oh, okay. So then, yeah, we can leave that. But anyways, those are some things that we're hoping to touch on next time. And if anybody has specific requests, specific things, please let us know because that will change our class plan. Perhaps we'll be able to include some of that. So thank you so much for teaching. We are in no means, the be all and end all of experts. We do have lots of experience. We do have lots of passion for martial arts, but also passion for teaching and sharing this knowledge. So thank you very much for sharing our passions with us today.
Keeping the art alive, yes, because everybody's doing a fantastic job already. We just want, try to Kaizen is another Japanese term, which means continuous self-improvement. And Kaizen could be in everything. Okay, so this is kind of Kaizen for teaching, continuous self-improvement. And remember, we talked about Shoshin, have a beginner's mind. Oh, you guys are.
Thank you very much.
Good work, everybody.
Thank you. We really appreciate all of you. And you're already better teachers just by coming and sharing all of these ideas together. So give yourselves a hand.
Yay.
We'll probably pause the recording. And we're done.
Stop.
Woohoo!
Thank
We
you,
did
sister.
it. Hey, first seminar of 2026.